Hey, we got to start this pod off with a little bit of intervention.
Yeah.
And it's a putting intervention. So our boy Paul, I'm talking to you. This new putting thing you got going on, no one else dares tells you this, but it's not working.
It's not working. It's time for you to give up.
Paul played with this.
Just give up golf?
No, we're talking about putting.
Well, when you say this thing going on, what are you even saying? I don't.
Okay,
have
so we went
on.
a couple years. No, a couple years ago, we went and played with this guy, and he taught you this whole new technique.
Oh.
You're taking rulers out and measuring it for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You should
And
see it
you're
without it.
Well, he asked me the other day. He's
You're
like,
not
"Hey,
putting well.
hey, what phase is the
We need
moon?"
to
He's
stop.
about to putt, and he's like, "What phase is the moon in?" Like, well, it's a waiting Gibby-ish, you freaking idiot. Of course.
It's the equivalent of
You
like
guys-
someone sitting at the free throw line using like 20 seconds and then hitting the side of the backboard.
Yeah, that's it's a good analogy. Listen,
He has gotten
the
way.
saddest part is
gotta
like
just-
how good the rest of my game is going. If I could just there's so many times I haven't finished. I'm like, man, if I could putt,
If you could putt, that's your
yeah,
because
I was
you're
like, if I
hitting
could
well.
putt, I could score really, really well at this
I think
game.
naturally you're just an athlete. I think you just step up and hit it because every time I've seen you do that, you step up, you look at the
Dude,
putt. Just don't just
That
like,
is the truth.
Take
In a
it.
normal intervention, you're like, you have to stop drinking. So that's the to do.
You have to stop.
So what am I?
this whole thing
intervening?
where you're holding your putter out, you're looking like you're
I'm just
squinting
trying to
left
line it
and
up.
right. I know, but you can. I don't.
You're saying just step up and
Well, you can
let's
line
just
it
do
up. Line up and look at it. Just don't hold your putter out for 5 minutes and then sit down. Because what you do is you hold your putter out, then you squat down.
Well, I
and then
hold
you
it out because
your-
it's not online. So then I squat down to realign it.
It ends up being like almost like pushing OCD thing. So
We went on a golf trip a few years ago or last year, and this awesome caddy offered to give people putting lessons.
that he got you.
Secretly, though, he was just trying to sell everybody his
Putters
that he
Yeah,
made.
he was.
It worked
But-
with you.
No, Paul
No,
didn't
I
buy
didn't
the
buy it.
putter.
Oh, you didn't buy
but
the
he
putter.
got the lesson.
But you took the
I
the
think he
lesson-
tried to get me to, and I was like, bro, I am not good enough at putting to buy I think it was like a $3,000 putter set, or I can't.
I think
It was
a
so much
$500
money.
Yeah, it was $500 for the putter itself was $500. But Paul, instead of just like he took full advantage of the free lesson.
Yeah.
It was like listening to a pitch for timeshare, and then just be like, okay, where's my
free
$20
night?
gift
Yeah,
card?
where's my free night stay?
Well-
What if I took the time, but I actually made the putts?
Yes, then I'd say keep doing what you're doing.
So I got to do one of those two.
Yeah, and they have to be like incredible putts. I won't like if you take that time and you're making a 4-footer. I will. I don't have any patience for that, right? But if it's like
Even though right
dude
now I
sinking
almost
s-
80% of my
dude
4-footers.
No,
yeah,
that's-
but if you're sinking 6,
You gotta
because
think
you got to
about-
hit 4-footers. You just
Yeah.
got to step up. A normal person above the age of 16 who's golfed a little bit should just be able to walk up and hit a 4-footer for 9 times out of 10. Okay.
I agree. A normal person. I just
and
can't
I'm looking.
seem
I'm
to.
also looking out for your social game because people
Yeah.
like don't want to play with someone who plays slow.
Yeah. Well, that's it.
So I want you to have golf buddies. And
I don't have time for it. That's the problem.
hey,
No, that's not the problem.
For other golf buddies, that is.
I was thinking about this the other day. I was at a restaurant and I used to do this growing up, and I don't know if you guys still continue to do this, but say that the table next to you, they order a bunch of chips and salsa or guacamole or cheese and queso, and they don't touch it. Maybe even just a little bit. They just have a lot left over and they leave. Are you the type that grabs their stuff and finishes it off for them?
I've never even considered this ever. So
Oh
no.
man, I look at you
This
and
is
see
never
a guy
even
that,
like.
I look
not
at you
even
and
crossed my mind.
I look at you and see a guy that like grabs everything out
Yeah,
of
you don't
life.
see the inefficiency there. Like, that's
It's a brand.
good.
It hasn't been touched.
I don't know, dude. Weirdly, it was going through my. I don't know if I've ever even paid attention to people around me when I'm at a like. I'm trying to think
There's-
of like. I guess sometimes I'll notice food they're eating when I'm like walking in to sit down. I'm like, oh, that
This
looks
is
good.
this is where you know you're not a helm because
Yeah,
a
you're
helm
not.
that is a total helm. My mother will still do. I don't. I've stopped. I've stopped doing that. I mean, I'm not saying I won't do it.
But they get
again.
up, they leave. Your mom just
Well, the
leans
guac
over
hasn't
and
turned
grabs it.
brown. You know how guac has been sitting a while.
Shout out
it
to
starts
my
turn
mom.
Brown, right? This guac hasn't. You're in that green phase. You know it's good if it's still green. That's what
Yeah,
mom
I
always
don't.
taught us.
The guac. I
It's
don't.
good if it's green.
I don't.
If it's gold, buyer beware.
I don't like the. I don't want to see the guacamole if it's been eaten. I don't want to share that one. But if it's a, brand new, thing of chips and
Queso
salsa.
dip.
Oh, I'd do it. I would do it. Depends on who I'm with. If it's me and Liz, for sure, I'd probably do it. And she'd be mad at me. If it's me and Alex,
feel
for
like
sure, we just both grab. We
you're-
fight over it.
But you're using a slightly bad example because most places with chips and salsa, you're going to get your own free chips and salsa, so you don't need your neighbor's
We're saying
table,
like chips, a guac, because the price of guacamole. I don't know if you guys
Queso.
know this,
breadsticks.
But the trade of the avocado is almost entirely mafiaed out now by the cartel, meaning like they control a lot of the Mexican import of the avocado.
Are you being funny or serious?
No,
right
I'm being
now?
serious.
No, yeah.
So,
Serious.
So when you see those commercials that say avocados from Mexico,
yes,
But
those are like
they do have the best
mafia.
avocados, though.
Those
Yeah.
are mafia.
I don't care who
avocados.
runs it as long as they taste good.
yeah, no, exactly. But that's what I'm saying is like you
Not
should
bad.
be like if you see an avocado, just understand like if you pay for that yourself, like guacamole, you're supporting the cartels, you're supporting the fentanyl, all that. But if you just take and dip off somebody else's, your conscience is clean. Like you didn't support that.
He didn't pay for it. What
You
about
didn't pay for it.
What about bread? What about someone like that leaves like all their good bread on the table?
No, dude, you're talking about. I've never considered any of this.
Well, you need to.
Like that's what
'Cause guess
I was asking you. Like, let's say we're at a pizza place, and the guy on the other table ordered some crazy cheese bread, and there's
Yeah.
like 3/4 of it
That's a
still
good
sitting
option.
there. You're gonna grab that, or
Probably.
your mom's gonna grab it, or like.
Probably. Have you ever? Do you know that like if they bring out bread, like say a restaurant automatically brings you bread at the start,
Yeah.
and you don't eat it, they reuse the bread. That's a Bourdain. Anthony Bourdain wrote this book, Kitchen Confidential, and he's like, that's like a go-to restaurant thing. They don't throw that bread away. It gets reused the next day, so you might as well grab
I
it.
actually appreciate that. I don't like. I mean, don't.
If
get
you
me
were
wrong,
running
I
a
never leave
restaurant,
that
you
bread.
would go grab that bread and reserve it. So
I don't
just
know
think
if
about
I
that.
could. It's just my.
No, you would.
No, it
That's
sounds
what-
icky.
Sure, but
It
that's
just
what
sat there. Nothing. Like the weird thing is, if it sat back in the kitchen,
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. But
Well,
it goes and
someone
sits on
could've
someone else's table and they breathed on it. It's not cool anymore.
What do you know though? What does the customer know? You could have sat on it all night.
Well, that's the thing
And
is your
then brought it out.
Sounds
guac, your
awful.
guac that you just
This
paid
is awful.
double for was probably it's probably 3 or 4 tables deep of people eating and just not finishing it. Right? That's another Bourdain secret.
They're just scooping it back into the pot, stirring it around,
Yeah, just
scooping it
mix it
back
around.
out. Oh man,
Let's
It's
jump.
so green.
Let's jump into something good.
that's why I like Barrio Queen. They make the guac fresh in front of you, so I know it's not that.
It's the
From another
guac's a
table.
different story. I'm not a big Alex is on this guac kick. I mean,
Kudos to the Barrio Queen for building it fresh right in front of me.
yeah, that is nice. A little pico in
You guys
there.
want to know something interesting in the Spanish language is avocado. Doesn't that sound like a pretty Hispanic word? Like
Sure,
it's like, hey, we got that name from Mexico.
not really, because they don't have an ah sound, do they? Spanish
Avocado.
avocado.
You don't think that sounds
Avocado
you
or
Yeah.
avocado?
If a
Avocado.
I guess you
Spanish-
said avocado.
If a
go
Spanish
ahead.
person was saying
Yeah.
avocado,
Avocado.
they'd say
Yeah.
avocado, but that's not what they say.
But
That's
you
not
know
the
what's
word.
crazy is the word. At least the Mexicans, they call them aguacates. They don't call 'em
Aguacate.
avocados.
Yeah.
What's kate mean?
So avocado must.
Because everybody's
It
saying
must go
It's
back to
one
the
word.
Greeks.
Aguacate is one word,
Oh,
but yeah, it must. It's always back to the Greeks.
It's always yeah.
Speaking of Greeks, did you guys watch the Olympics?
no, but I did see that 300's on Netflix, so I'm definitely rewatching
Oh my
that.
gosh, I'm trying to bring up like a relevant thing. You're going
I
back
am,
to a
dude.
30-year-old movie.
Relevant,
talking-
but
we're talking
way
about
more,
the
dude.
Olympics.
But way more interesting than the Olympics is the movie 300.
I hated that
movie
movie when
sucked.
it came out.
You hated that movie?
I really did.
You were,
yeah,
all
everybody
you
was
watched was
obsessed.
the abs. You're
Yeah.
obsessed with
The
abs.
abs.
The abs were
I know
nice.
you.
Those
you're
guys
really-
are so freaking. Oh, they're so ripped.
They were ripped, but no, the movie was super historically inaccurate. It was like hard to watch. The fighting scenes were like, I
If-
guess, kind of
was
cool,
your-
but really.
If movies
superhero.
were accurate, they wouldn't be entertaining.
That's
They were
true.
trying to entertain us.
But what was your biggest beef? Is that the main Spartan had a English accent?
I just
Or
hated
Scottish.
yeah, exactly.
This guy sounds like he's from Great Britain.
I felt like the premise. So let me tell you a little about the Spartans.
What about when
okay?
he kicked
No, let me
the-
tell you a little bit about the Spartans.
Can we
okay?
get? I really wanted to get into the Olympics, but
Well, can we get back to the Olympics after I tell you about the Spartans?
Yeah.
what they
So the
really were?
Olympics started probably with
This
the
is
Greeks.
this
so
is a
it's-
military machine, like to like an extreme, right? But it was super like abusive, and they kind of highlight
Who
this
was?
when
Who?
they at the start of that movie when they're like looking at the baby and they throw it down in the pit. But this is the Spartans, right? But they were super homoerotic as well, right? You go to war with and you just pick out a dude and be like, hey, that's if you're an older dude, an older warrior, you'd pick out a younger dude and be like, hey, that's gonna be my guy, and he would take care of all your needs physically while you're out there, right? And so that's kind of the machine that they were into. Not that there's anything-
How do you know stuff like that though? That
That's pretty common in
No,
like
that
all
sounds
Greek.
that
all Greek-
sounds
this is
made
what I
up
think
by
it's-
people who wish it was
No,
that way
because the
now.
victors usually write the histories, you
Yeah,
know. So I think
yeah.
eventually Spartans lost and like, hey,
So
let's
they
go
wrote,
back and
these
make
guys
them
were a
all.
bunch of
Let's go.
freaking
Let's go back
homos.
and make them all gay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what happened.
Yes, because they had nice abs.
Well, they did. But tell me, when you're looking at those abs, you're like, hey, if he's asking for volunteers, I might.
No,
my,
0%. But
here could be my dude.
0%. Because I'm also thinking if I'm out at work, like my sex drive is probably so unbelievably low. You just slice somebody's
Have you-
head off and their
I don't
arms
know,
are
dude.
blood. Their blood splattered
Have you seen
all
the
over you.
SNL skit where?
And
like,
I'm
the
gonna go
guy's-
back to my tent and
He's super overweight. The guy's like the Spartan, and he's got like he's just got those little skirts that they wear, but he's got like no leg definition. He's just fat. And you have to go back. and watch
it's an
that skit.
SNL.
Yeah, it's a
I'm
good
gonna
one.
watch this.
All right, back to the Olympics though. What was
Yeah.
your favorite event you saw?
Oh, that you saw? I haven't seen very many, so this can be tough. Ooh, I know my favorite one. There's the speed walkers, and I think it's the French lady thought she had won, and so she's like pumping her fist, celebrating.
Spanish
Have
lady,
you
yeah.
seen this
I've
yet?
seen this.
I never
I
saw
actually-
that.
I actually.
And this other person walks past her, and they put her face in slow motion. She's all, ah! She
Can't do
gets
anything about
second
it.
place, yeah, because she's too late.
Yeah. Definitely for me, it was the Australian PhD breakdancer. Did you watch that at
I
all?
saw a
I was
clip
like-
of that on YouTube, and I was like, "What is this? Make fun of, or is this real?"
So growing up, like the class clown, when you
Yes.
when you take that mantle upon yourself,
Yeah.
it's for good and bad, right? Like, you're gonna get a lot of attention, but also it's like when dancing circles would form, people would look to me to get in the middle, and I have a lot of memories of like going in and doing what she did, right? But
Me too.
But again, I was a class clown. Like, I was doing this. Like, if I looked bad, it was gonna score me some class clown points. If I looked good, people were gonna be like, "God, he came through." I mean, the old
Yeah.
boy came through.
But what
Yeah.
looks bad and what looks, it's a confidence thing. So if you went in with confidence, you're like, hey, whatever, I might pop and lock.
Yeah.
It's-
This girl looked like
Awful.
She looked no, she just looked like almost like a mom. You
No,
know, like a
it
mom
was not
doing it.
breakdancing.
No.
The clips I saw was like, "What in the world?" And I thought, just like you, like maybe he's just doing this as a bet to be funny.
Yeah.
I'm not going after the Aussies for freaking breakdancing.
Why is
Stick
that
to
even a sport?
Stick
Like-
to surfing and whatever you do over there.
Yeah,
Did you
but
watch
also,
the,
why
did
is
you watch
breakdancing
No, but did
part
you
of the
watch
Olympics?
Did you? Oh, there's a million sports
Oh,
that you could throw in there. But did you watch the good breakdancers? It was amazing.
No, I didn't.
yeah, they were
Yeah,
awesome.
you watch some of those, and you're like, I mean, it's way better than
Just not
like
it's not an Aussie sport.
synchronized swimming. Yeah, it's not.
Oh man, my
Oh, I know my other Zach. My other, you had to have seen this. The pole vaulter whose
oh yeah,
package got in
yeah.
the way. That was epic.
That would be your problem right there.
The
for
100
sure.
the 100-yard dash was freaking sick.
Oh yeah, the 100.
Photo finish.
The 100 was amazing.
Yeah,
My favorite by far is the 4x4 women's though.
I didn't
Really?
see it.
Oh, all those
Did we
women.
win?
It's like a bunch of models out there racing each other.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Didn't see it.
A lot of good racing. The Americans dominated.
Just
Yeah.
in the track and field.
Track
right?
and field, they dominated. I just felt like the whole Olympics overall.
Well,
like,
today the radio said we're tied with China for gold medals.
Well,
what is
it's
China
over.
winning?
China's winning everything. Like,
Oh, it's over?
particular, right?
anything
Like
that you don't know
diving,
about, the stupid
Okay,
events.
diving.
like ping pong. They got
Okay,
freaking
ping
ping pong.
pong.
They win a lot of wrestling. Weirdly, weightlifting.
They win wrestling.
I don't know if they win.
Are you
Okay,
sure they win
okay,
wrestling?
maybe not wrestling, but
So it feels like the Soviet Union and the Americans win wrestling.
well, the Soviet
almost
Union's
always.
out.
Hungarian
I mean,
sometimes.
they
Soviets
actually ended
are
in like
freaking
the
wrestlers.
when did the Soviet Union end in like '89?
I know we're still
Russians, whatever you want to call it. I'm a purist. Me and
Yeah.
Vladimir.
the freaking basketball. Oh my gosh, that Serbia game and then
Yeah.
the championship game. I mean,
What's the Serbia game?
it was just we were losing by like
They're down 13 in the
13 to
fourth quarter.
15 or
I didn't
16
see
points.
that one, but I saw Steph go off in the championship.
he went
game.
off in the semis too, and it was like some of the most incredible
Steph
basketball I've
went
ever
off
seen.
in the
Yeah,
semis as
Steph,
well.
He had like 36 points.
So he's like our American hero now.
Yeah,
It is. It's
they
funny-
were great wrap up game. Like, if you only watched the fourth quarter of both those games, you'd be like, feel so patriotic. But if you watch the other three quarters, you're like, they're kind of played a little bit sloppy.
They have a lot of turn. But I mean, these guys, the other
They don't play
country,
together.
The countries play together a lot.
Yeah.
The other ones, but the U.S.
Why did the other when and how did the other
a
teams
lot of
play
FIBA,
together?
a lot of FIBA tournaments and
Yeah.
things like they just have grown up doing that and like playing in those leagues over there. And it's a different basketball. Like there's that rule. Have you seen it? If it hits the rim, you can tip it out.
Yeah.
So like Do you know how a lot of times if it tips in and
There's
if
no
it bounces off the
offensive
rim,
goaltending and defensive goaltending.
if it once it hits the rim, so you know a lot of times like it'll bounce and go like that.
Yeah.
If it bounces and hits that rim and it's
You can
about
just
to go
swat
in,
it off.
swat it off.
And Americans, even though we could do that, we're not like used to it. so we
LeBron
don't
was like
do
the
it.
only one that was really doing it really well.
Yeah.
LeBron's on a different level. All those guys, it's funny to see like this isn't the best basketball we've ever. It's probably ever. Like these guys are insane and these older guys rising to the top. Like you have like Anthony
Yeah.
Edwards is scoring like 2. He couldn't do anything, and like maybe he's great on defense.
But KD, LeBron, and
LeBron
Steph.
and Steph are still just scorers. At the end of the day, they can score like no
Crazy.
other. And Steph's like a once in a 500-year type player. He's
Yeah,
insane.
he's so good.
So that was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I liked watching that. In the women's too, another thing, which again, maybe this isn't a rule, but in the women's, they were like, this is like the U.S.'s. I only watch this. I mean, I'm not super into women's basketball, right? But I watch this game because it's our last gold to tie China and then beat them on the tiebreaker because we had more medals, right? It's the last gold medal that was basically in the Olympics, I think. And this girl it's like a tie game. She shoots, bounces off the rims, bounces off the top of the backboard, and then back into the hoop. And it counted. But I feel like in our thing,
I still don't even know the rules on that. Even
Yeah.
when we play pickup
Well,
ball,
in the
I'm
NBA,
always
that's
like,
not a basket, but
yeah,
in the Olympics, it must be. So the Americans won then?
they won. Yeah, yeah. The women's
they've
team was down in the fourth quarter. They haven't lost an Olympic game since '94. The women's team.
It's like 60-something games in a row.
Yeah.
What's crazy, they were France was down by 3, and they shot a ball at the buzzer, made it to tie it, but her foot was on the line.
Oh,
So it was cool that France was like hosting and they were in both championships. Like it was a sweet Olympics. Like I tried to pay attention as much, but the next one's gonna be awesome in LA,
Yeah.
which will be sweet. And then in 10 years, Salt Lake, dude, we're gonna be freaking. I might
Competing.
compete.
Yeah,
if
we're
there's a
gonna
break dancing on the ice, I'm going for it.
Well, I think breath holdings. So breath holdings coming along
Oh, and
nicely.
cold water breath hold.
Oh, that would.
can
be
you
good
do it
for
in
me
cold
now.
water?
I
No.
can't.
Alex,
So
we gotta start training.
Those cold water guys, like we do not get along. Like I see a bit like at our workouts and stuff, the cold water breath holders, and it's like you don't talk to those dudes.
They have the Spartan abs.
Yeah, like yeah, you do not. Like this is the natural enemy of the warm-blooded. We call ourselves warm-blooded.
Yeah. Let's bounce to today in history.
All right.
1934. Guess
Okay.
what officially starts?
The Third Reich? No.
No.
That was 32 or 33, 32, I think.
Okay, 34. What officially starts?
Can
I'm
you
gonna
give us like
say
a hint? There's
Bay Area,
the Golden Gate Bridge.
right nearby.
Not Soldier Field.
Alcatraz. Alcatraz officially
Alcatraz.
becomes like a real prison.
Like
So
it opens up.
It opens up for like legit prisoners. So Alcatraz was big time. I mean, we got it from the Mexicans like after the Mexican-American War, like in the 1850s, and then in the during the Civil War, it's being used as like for prisoners. So they would throw prisoners there, and eventually they built like this thing on the rock, which Alcatraz, it's like in a perfect spot to like defend everything in that area. If you haven't been to Alcatraz, it's actually aesthetically it's awesome. It's cool to look at, and it's just strategically just placed perfect to protect all that whole inlet into the Bay Area. But like I think they built it up, and eventually they opened it up to prisoners. And if you haven't been, have you been on a tour to Alcatraz?
No, my wife went.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Your wife does all the cool things.
Well, I was in meetings, so she
They
went and played.
they give these tours, and they've had some really infamous prisoners there. Al Capone was there, and they had this guy called Birdman. I don't know if he actually owned birds. But,
Why is it closed down?
Well, it just got. I mean, it's
Too many Spartan.
It's super
type
hard.
things going on.
The sea is super hard on all the concrete and everything there, and so
I'm sure that's
even
our problem.
like transporting. But think of it, you can build a tall fence, and then you can like transporting food in, transporting inmates in. Like that has to be expensive. Like ferrying everything.
Nobody-
California cares about that kind of stuff
and
too.
You're right.
They-
You're right.
If it costs money, they're not going to do it. So
and
that
they would
makes
get
sense.
they would get the worst of the worst prisoners when they opened up. And it was like, what's crazy is like when you're there, San Francisco is right there. So it'd be hard if you were sitting there.
Yeah, if you're on
looking
San
at the
Francisco City Council, you're like these guys are like
you
a
could flip them off.
200
and they-
meter swim.
Okay.
They
I
In
mean,
San Francisco, they're like super hard on
well, they
crime,
were
or-
back in the
it's like
day.
I want to say
They
it's
had
like
to develop.
I want to
You can't
say
judge
This is
everything.
nonsense. What's
you can't
the real
judge
reason?
everything based off their 2024.
Guys, I'm gonna look
Yeah.
up the real reason.
I want to say
Close down.
it's like almost a mile swim, and like there was no confirmed escapes. They had people escape, but they never found them. But they don't know if they
Yeah,
survived.
there's that one
They don't know if they
dude,
survived
right,
the
that
swim.
just disappeared, right? They don't know if he survived or
There was
escaped.
two of them, and they had like made some fake heads and put them at the end of their bed and then climbed out.
Weren't they mafia guys too?
I don't know who these people were, but
Yeah.
dude, if you haven't been to Alcatraz, it's freaking awesome. Even though they say those guys probably got eaten by sharks, but I don't think there's a ton of sharks in the bay, like past that little inlet, because they do a swim. Like I've signed up, I'm on a waiting list to do a swim, a little triathlon that swims from Alcatraz to San Francisco.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
Sounds
people
dangerous.
no one's been eaten by sharks.
Speaking
so.
of the triathlon, did you watch that guy in the triathlon video? That guy that drowned?
No, in the Olympics.
No, this isn't the Olympics. There's like a triathlete championship, and they just show a video of this lady's videoing her husband. But this is it was a big deal, like a big event in whatever triathlete world exists. But yeah, this guy you see him, he kind of you can tell he's like struggling. There's lifeguards all around him in those canoes, and just not like struggling, like slapping, but like just like wearing out, and then he just disappears underwater.
Dude, that's
Dying.
super sad,
Yeah.
actually.
Well, I'm sorry, I don't want to bring
Yeah.
us down, but we
were talking about something.
triathlon.
Especially
we were
when you're
talking
telling
about
us there's
something-
like lifeguards all around.
Well, no,
Just
literally
letting-
like right next.
We're
to
talking
this
about
guy.
something really positive, like a really terrible prison. What's crazy about this prison in Alcatraz, though, they closed it down, I think, in the 60s, and it was originally Native American, right? And so they gave the Native Americans Alcatraz. So, like 1969 to like 71, you have these Native American Indian protesters that are living on Alcatraz, just like getting their food shipped in, and they like you can still see like graffiti from like them messing around on the concrete and stuff, but they like would live there. So it's kind of crazy history. So now it's just they have a big audio tour, and it's cool. I love that it's there. It's like it's very like almost like a European type feel over in San Francisco anyway. It's a very cool look. And this prison on a little island that's way nearby, like you have the Golden Gate Bridge, and seriously, right underneath it is Alcatraz. So I think I'm gonna move there.
Yeah, if you could pick a prison like to end up at, because you got that, or you got the old Point of the Mountain. Which one are you taking?
No, the old Point of the Mountain's not even there anymore.
Yeah, it's gone. So
So I'd take the old Point of
What
the Mountain because
about-
that real
what
estate.
What
about-
about famous prisons in history? What about like the Chateau d'If?
Oh,
What
Chateau
about-
d'If would suck.
No, what about this, Zach?
That
You're
would
a
suck.
super billionaire.
Mhm.
You can either buy an island like Larry Ellison, your own island in Hawaii, or you can just buy Alcatraz and build a mansion on Alcatraz. Helicopter in and out.
Alcatraz.
Alcatraz seems
100,000.
cool,
I'm
huh?
surprised no one's done it.
I know it seems like the ultimate
Like, I
I'm
feel
rich
like
flex.
Zuckerberg would have done something. He keeps going to
so-
Zuckerberg's going to
Elon,
Hawaii.
Elon
Yeah.
would have, but he's out. He's out of California
It's cold.
now.
It's cold
And
there.
ghosts. You
Yeah.
know, that's it.
Too many ghosts in
Yeah, it's
Alcatraz?
like Hawaii. You're not gonna get, at least if there's ghosts in Hawaii, they're gonna be pleasant because it's like you just like look how comfortable you are in Hawaii.
I
And
mean,
if you're
sure.
a ghost, you're gonna be a comfortable ghost
I'm not really. I don't know if I believe in hauntings
anymore.
like that. I don't think I ever have. I think
Okay.
it's
Zach, when
I'm
we
not
were
worried
in
about
high
him.
school, went and saw a scary movie. This is him as a senior. I'm sleeping in my bed. We're in high school. At this point in our lives, we weren't like we were living
It was-
separately but equally. Like we didn't talk or anything like that.
it was The Ring.
He knocks on my door and says, and it's like 1 a.m. or something like that. He's like, "Hey, I'm gonna sleep in here." I'm like, "No, you're not." And he just did it anyway because he's physically more bigger than me, so I just had to sleep next to my brother.
Oh
that
yeah, I
night.
just intimidated him. No, he was half asleep. I said,
So it's
"Shut
hard
up."
for me to get on board with like,
No, you forgot
I
the
don't know
famous
if I'm-
line that you told everybody that I said. I said, just go
just
with
go,
it.
yeah. He
Just
did.
go with
He
it.
did
Just
say
go
that.
with it. Just go with it,
Just
bro.
go with it.
Protect me. I watched The Ring at it was like a dance. We went to like a school dance and we watched The Ring. We rented out a theater. That movie freaked me out.
So you were
It's a legit
you were
movie.
legit a little bit just not feeling it that night.
Well,
You're
right
like,
now we should.
Absolutely. I
if
slept
I'm
with
gonna
my
die,
brother.
I want to die with my
I'm
brother
gonna
next to
start
me.
crawling out towards people watching this on YouTube.
As if Alex was gonna
Great.
protect you.
Coming for you. Yeah, he did come to me. So that's hard for me to now take him seriously. It's like,
Yeah.
I think scientifically, ghosts are
Yeah.
probably more psychiatric anomaly.
Yeah, I just don't believe him anymore. Change my mind. That's
I I don't know
That's what
you're
I'm gonna
saying.
do.
Like, dude, you have to somewhat believe in it. Like, if you're Christian anyway, because the whole like
I don't
casting
believe
out of spirits.
Well,
man.
what I don't believe in is that these prisons and these places, like if you go to Gettysburg, they say it's the most haunted place like in the world because so many people have died there. So I do believe that there's, I don't know. I don't want to say no ghosts. I want to say the haunting where someone's just creeping you out the whole time where these people are going in. I don't know if I believe in it.
Maybe it is.
Because I've seen these ghost shows and they just like, especially that guy that goes into these haunted places. He's like, come on, ghosts, let's go.
Yeah. He's like,
He, like,
starts
taunt-
insulting him because he
Insulting
wants
him,
him to
yeah.
And nothing happens. So
be like, hey, what'd you get on your SAT score? Huh? Like
I think it's
400, you stupid ghost.
yeah, that's where I would haunt people. If people started bringing up my ACT score, that's where I'd be like, all right,
All right, now it's
I'm
on.
coming after this
Yeah.
person. Whatever they can do. Like throw, it's always like books flying around and stuff.
Yes, that's true.
Oh man.
That's how, if you want, there's like, if something happens to me and you guys need to summon me, I just need you to start like talking like really seriously about like how 300 was better than Lord of the Rings or something like that.
No, I was
And
just gonna say I already know how to
I will
summon you.
come
I'm just
to the
gonna
mirror.
chant the Lord of the Rings thing. One ring to bind them all.
No, because I'll be like, at that point I'll be in Hawaii on my island with my billionaire buddy. You know, as like with my other ghost buddies who are
You're
just
the
happy.
chill, happy
Yes.
ghost.
We don't want them to know we're here.
But the power of the ring will pull you.
I can't believe we went back to that because just your references are so. I mean, that's like us talking about the current election. You'd be like, "Oh, did you hear Abraham Lincoln won?" It's like you with the, "Hey, did you see 300? How's the Olympics?"
Guys,
No, but I watched 300.
guys, that's a great movie.
I'm gonna go back and watch it. Maybe the
You need to.
only the part where he kicks the.
Kicks the Philistine. What is he? Persian. No, the
Better
Persian.
than this. We should have been
Are
moving
you
the
a?
Persian.
because then at the time you had Gladiator. Like Gladiator was a real awesome, well-written movie, and then you have 300 come out, and it's just like these goofballs with freaking just awesome abs pointing to younger dudes, be like, "You're mine. I choose you.
Gosh.
I'll call you." Pikachu.
That was the extended,
Like,
the extended
this
scenes.
is like the weirdest. History to me is so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. They
Hey,
were,
are you a shelter guy? Are you like nervous about like apocalypse where you're, going down into the earth? You have your whole setup down
going
there.
in the earth, but I definitely have food storage and
Lame.
guns and bullets. And
What kind of guns do you have?
I don't even know.
don't
guns
say it on
in-
the spot.
I think it's a 9mm.
My favorite part. Yeah, don't pre-incriminate.
Don't tell them.
Well,
Don't tell
yeah.
them.
In 5 years,
Incriminate.
They'll be
They'll incriminate you.
They'll come for him and like you said on the podcast, you had this other gun.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I was just flexing.
I love that you're saying guns and bullets. Like, so if something happened, you'd be like, you
Dude,
don't know
yeah,
what
I've
bullets
thought
go to
about what
what
you
gun.
said. Is like if something were to like really happen, I need some time because I gotta go load the gun, figure out like
Yeah,
where
how they work.
I don't even know how they work. Yes, yeah.
But
it's
you
a
have
problem.
them. That's if it's advertised that you have them, no one will. The zombies will leave you
Yeah,
alone.
they know better.
Yeah. I think I'm going to do a big, I'm going to say it's like a bunker for, some of those days. But I just want a man cave in my backyard where I can, and just have an excuse to dig that hole in my backyard.
Dude, you should do it in Alex's because he's kind of up against the mountain, and you could like just burrow into the mountain and build this freaking awesome, like in the movies, like this room you enter and it's just guns
Alex
lining
has
across
good.
the walls.
Alex is smart because he built that house on that hill just so he has like, it's like a military strategic
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and that was the point of it.
I just see you watching Netflix until you like get dehydrated and die. The apocalypse, you're like, oh,
my downloaded
I'm almost out of water, but I gotta finish this show.
Yeah, that's probably more.
Speaking of
realistic.
shows, let's jump right into what shows we're watching. I want to tell you about one. Someone told me to go back and watch because I'm really into like anything English countryside. I'm a freaking sucker for.
Yeah.
Downton Abbey.
that's what you're watching.
No, I
Oh,
love
okay.
Downton Abbey. I've
You
gone to
did watch it though.
Oh, for sure. I've gone to the castle. I've seen all the movies. That's like an escapism for me. I like to go off to the countryside. So
That sounds
pull.
like
All this is
straight
cheeky,
up
like
torture.
cheeky,
'Cause
like
it's so
wordplay back and forth. Just like
Exactly.
sarcastic, cheeky.
Yeah, I'm all about the cheeks, dude.
Oh my gosh.
So now I'm watching Poldark, and it's not like all these other ones. They mix in like a lot of intercourse, a lot of sex, and so you get all the whole British aristocrat stuff going on. But they show the bedroom scenes. Poldark kind of skips that part, so I'm trying to figure out
How to?
if I like that or not.
Yeah.
But no, Poldark's been pretty awesome.
What's it on?
It's on one of those
BBC?
Acorn,
Yeah.
Acorn, random British. But it was it's like a renowned show. It's a good show.
Oh,
And so I think you guys need to delve into the English
I just
countryside.
think
with me.
we idolize the English still to like a little bit of an
They
extreme
speak
when it
so
comes to movies, when it comes to even like you look back at like even when you start like these actors, like it feels like you naturally want to go to an English accent instead of an American accent, and that type of stuff. It reminds me again of Mexico. And
Are you making the argument that America is better at the arts than like acting than the English?
I would say that like acting. I guess I need to be careful here, but I think we could.
No, you can have
I think
it.
we
I'm
could field.
always trying to figure out what angle he's headed towards, and then so when you ask him, I'm like, yeah,
I
was
want to
kinda
know which one
wondering
he
where
actually,
headed.
because sometimes he'll
And now
say
you
it.
asked him, it's almost like he doesn't want to finish his.
Well, I don't know if he believes what he's
I think. Okay, so here's what I think. You know how you're like watching. Go watch a movie, and then after you go watch the actors talk about making the movie, and you're like, "Holy freak, he's English!" Like, and he's playing like a dude from Fargo,
Kansas.
Minnesota,
Yeah.
from Fargo, North Dakota, right? Like, and you're like, "Why the freak is this guy?" Like, we should be doing a better job of like finding.
Well, I think these British people, they grow up watching American stuff more than we watch British stuff. And so they can nail like the nuances and the accents of Americans way better. Because right now, I don't know how to speak.
Australian?
No, I was trying to go
Oh.
English. But mate.
Mate,
All right, mate. So this is how crappy we are at accents. I want to do an English
you have
there,
to
and
almost
what
say
popped
me and my
out-
mates.
Me and my mates.
Yes.
Okay, we could act. We could do it.
Yeah, you guys do have that down. See, and that's what I'm saying. Is like, hey, talent scouts, like, before you look outwards, just look inwards.
All the best. It is sad when we see these iconic American roles going to British actors. What we're saying is there's not a lot of new, like up and coming George Clooney's,
There's
up
not
and
any
coming
young
Brad
ones.
Pitts. So the American actors,
Well,
we really got.
I don't know if these guys are old or not, but who's the guy that's Star-Lord?
Chris
Yeah,
Pratt.
Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
He's solid.
he's not a great actor.
No, he's not a good actor.
He's an awesome actor.
Well,
and
he's
what
gonna play a
was he in that
superhero?
where he moved you?
Star-Lord.
Yeah, he was funny at that.
Why does he
show.
need to move
That's
me?
it.
No, he's a good actor. He's fine. But I'm saying like it is kind of funny if we do like a a Benjamin Franklin or these type of shows. It usually ends up being a British
British
actor.
dude. Yeah.
But they're raised on Shakespeare, and we have Rambo.
No, we have.
Yeah, we had Sylvester
No,
Stallone.
we hijacked everything. Like, again, their plays would be in German now if it wasn't for us. We hijacked the arts for them, and we've funded the arts for them so they could continue. Otherwise, they'd be having stupid shows like Dark Portal or whatever the freak he's watching over
Yeah.
here.
It's called
Did seem a little
it's called Poldark,
And-
and the
And
guy
you watched Downton or Downtown Abbey?
Downton Abbey.
Downton.
Poldark is about this guy who
Okay.
Can he time? Hey,
He
I have
fought-
one question. Can he time travel?
we haven't
Then
got there
shut
yet.
up.
We haven't got there yet. There could be some ties to some type of travel.
What are you watching, Paul?
I am watching. I just can't get into it that much, but I did do like half the series so far. It's called The Dead Detectives, I think is what it's called. Dead Detectives. So these dead people, and dead people get trapped, and so these dead detectives help them basically figure out why they're trapped, and they do these spells and these conjurings and release them from these things so that they can pass on to the
Is
other
this like a
world.
Disney Junior?
It's not that great. I'm not recommending it to anybody. That's for sure. Yeah, I can't. I don't know. I haven't found anything I'm super into. Everything I get into starts showing nudity, so then I have to turn it off.
And save it for later.
Just turn it off. I can't find anything without any nudity on it anymore.
Yeah.
So I end up watching shows that are from like the 80s when things were pure and holy.
Do all these people getting naked on shows, do they just not care about like going to family dinners and being like sitting down with their family after and be like, hey, Dad, yeah. Like Dad's like, hey, I saw you on that show.
I know.
You looked really naked.
It's gotta be weird.
That's the only reason
be
I don't.
weird.
The only reason I don't do nudity is
Yeah.
because I have to face my parents at some point. And they're
Oh,
like,
I don't
"Zach."
do it because I'm ashamed of the way I look, but other than that, I do.
Well, I've
it.
only done it a couple times, And
Dad was ashamed.
Yeah, no,
And it
usually
wasn't
it was-
because of the moral act, it's because of physique.
well, when the Elvish make love, it's more of
Elvish.
a dance than it is like.
I
just a
feel
lot of
like the
fitness.
Elvish had like abs like 300, dude.
Yeah,
Those
no.
guys looked like they were fit.
Hey, when you get on a plane, are you like an aisle seat guy or are you a window seat guy? You
Dude,
travel a
I
ton.
used to really be into the window because I would lean against it, kind of help me sleep. But lately, I'm more obsessed with just getting off the plane. So I go to the aisle. The other thing is if it's a long flight, I've realized if you need to pee, being on the aisle is so freaking awesome.
nice.
Yeah, because you don't have to ask the people to get out and climb over them.
Yeah.
Yeah, because on the inside, on the window side, sometimes if it's a long flight, I just put on a diaper. So I don't want to. I don't want to inconvenience those people, and I won't break eye contact. If we're talking, you're in the middle seat. I'm not gonna like stop talking to
But
you. I'm
his-
gonna go.
His mouth
as I'm-
does start to like kind of just kind of vibrate a little bit.
You'll know. You would know. The stranger wouldn't have no.
So
idea.
I think I'm gonna go with aisle seat. Why?
Yeah.
What are you?
I'm a huge aisle seat
Aisle
guy.
seat, yeah.
But like, and especially now to keep my kids locked. If I have my
Locked
kids
in,
around, I lock them in there. But yeah, I'm a huge aisle. I get a little. I've gotten a little claustrophobic the older I've gotten. Like I'm having. What's funny, we were talking about this. I had a dream last night where you get caught in this cave, and I couldn't get out. I have dreams like this all the time now. Is where I'm
Yeah.
like, my head's stuck somewhere, and I'm like, I can't quite get
This
out.
is a message trying to give you realistic expectations for your adventurous pioneering spirit, which you have, which wants you to explore, but
But stay above.
this is an
ground.
intervention being like, hey, you for sure you got the spirit. I just don't know that you have the rest of it, to actually
The actual skill.
Yes.
To stay alive.
stay in your life.
I have a lot of drowning nightmares where because I like to dive deep and go underneath little crevices and where I just get caught and I'm just kind of looking up. This is morbid, but
That's funny. I have a lot of drowning, but it's always like kids. Like this is how confident I am in my ability. And also, again, going back to, my brain's trying
unless
to
the
tell
water
me.
is cold.
Yeah, I've never had a drowning. Like I've never felt like I'm gonna drown underwater when I'm swimming.
That's good, dude.
Well, I mean when I'm dreaming. So,
Dreaming.
yeah. Have you?
Not dreaming, no.
Yeah.
But in real
This
life,
is a-
every time I'm in the pool,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, no,
but
Paul,
yours is real.
I feel like I'm going to drown.
Paul, yeah, Paul.
I putt just like I swim.
Yeah.
Not great.
He's got a lot of skill.
I think it's for sure the fear. Like I'm
You're
afraid that I'm
scared.
going to drown.
Yeah.
But also from what you said, like if I swim, I don't know how you guys swim so long because my muscles get super tired after just a short period of
This is-
swimming.
I'm just gonna call it right now. It's gonna be just like that Alanis Morissette song where it's like ironic,
Yeah.
guy that hated to swim.
Yeah.
Grew up scared of drowning.
Took swim lessons for
I'm not gonna
14
say
years.
yeah.
And then he
And as the
has
waves
to-
crashed down, he thought, well, isn't this nice?
Yeah. And then you have thought that, but you
Yeah,
survived.
when we were in California, just barely, my 10-year-old Leo, which Newport Beach waves are like notoriously calm and weak sauce, but they got in a spot against the rocks where apparently it was like causing a little bit of a rip current to pull him back out, and of course I'm nowhere to be found, and so the lifeguard had to swim in and get Leo.
Yeah, that's a you Helm family thing because
Yeah.
me, Alex, and Jordan were out surfing in Hawaii. And Jordan's a big time surfer,
Yeah.
So he's like, "Come out here like 2 miles out. These are where all the big waves are." And we're like, "Sure, we'll go out there." And what the lifeguards look for is that you look, decent on the board. Like you're not like your posture's okay. So like, oh, I don't have to go after that person. They're really far away. Alex had his board perpendicular.
Yeah, I'm diving in, checking out the local.
No, but he's
fauna.
tired because it's when you're on your stomach paddling, you have your back arched. If you're not used to that, it's
Yeah.
really tiring.
Yeah.
He didn't have the stamina, so he's got his board sideways, doggy paddling. And
just
the
chilling.
lifeguard comes out. The lifeguard comes out. He's like, "Hey, you two, you look good. You can stay. You back to the shore."
And Alex
He
got
sent-
kicked back to the
Yeah,
shore.
he sent Alex back. He's like, "I can
Oh.
tell that you're not ready for this."
What?
on
That's so
that
stupid.
on that same little trip out, I think it might have been that one. It might have been surfing that same exact time. This is where I didn't fit in, as I was going to surf, and I didn't catch the wave. And this guy, who's the only guy out there with me and Jordan, paddles up to me, this big Hawaiian dude, and just reams me, saying I tried to catch his wave. And all I'm doing is I'm trying to stay out of people's waves. I'm so self-conscious. And he scared the crap out of me because I'm like, hey, if he wants to beat me up, he can. He's faster than me in the water. He's bigger than me. I'm just screwed. I'm all alone. And so I didn't try to catch a wave like the rest of the day out there. So it was better that Alex went in.
If I could swim, and this is like so fantasy land, but if I were out there, I'd be like every wave after that. Hey, is this one yours? But yours? Okay.
Yeah.
I just bug him. I would just bug him the rest of the day, hollering at him and make sure if this is his wave or not.
Yeah. I was tail between my legs for
Hawaii
sure.
is tough because you get this etiquette of like what you're used to in Newport, which is kind of like a crowded beach, and then you take that to Hawaii, but the water's way more dangerous. And Zach was actually out there with some neighbors or some buddies, and got chewed out because their kids were playing in a spot where the lifeguard like deemed it was too dangerous or whatever. And then the very next day he comes back.
Let me
tell the story.
Let me tell the story. So we go out with all our family, like our neighbors and stuff, and one of their kids keeps getting sent down. The lifeguards say, come back closer. And eventually he gets kind of swept out, and the lifeguard didn't say anything at this point, and his mom and stuff's like, hey, go get him. And I'm like, an okay swimmer. I'm like, I'll get him. It's not a big deal. So I swim out, and I look back like 15 feet behind me, and this lifeguard is like swimming for his life, like going hard. I'm very casual at this point. I get the kid first, and he's on a boogie board, and the lifeguard like catches up to us out there, and he's like, just starts yelling at me. And it's not my kid. So like,
it's not even your kid.
It's not my kid. And I'm taking this. So I pushed the kid into a wave. He boogie boards back, had the time of his life.
Yeah.
And then this lifeguard comes and just reams our whole group. So we're embarrassed. And then the next day we're like 40 miles down the coast, and same thing happens. And in my head, I'm like, it would just suck. We see the lifeguard going after one of these kids, and we're like, it would just suck if it's like the same lifeguard. And it ended up being the same guy.
No.
So both days, I'm like, why is he here?
No, he's just following you guys.
He was cool the second time because I think he knew he had really made a big deal. I mean, he didn't have to save the kid. I saved the kid.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm the hero.
It doesn't even sound like the kid needed super saved. He had a boogie board.
Absolutely not. He had a boogie board, but like you can get taken off if it's like a 12-year-old kid. Because I mean,
yeah, but you're not gonna die. Yeah, you might get swept away, and they have to like, bring a boat.
People die.
Yeah, people die all the time.
How? You have a boogie board.
Sure, but you're also being swept out
I know,
to the ocean,
but
and then
just
people have to find you.
Yeah, that I agree. They might not find you, but you're not gonna drown because you have
but
a
eventually
flotation device.
sharks will like
that. Yeah, you might get
sharks
eaten by a
will
shark.
eat you. Like when you're floating.
Yeah,
out in the
totally get that.
ocean.
You're just not gonna drown. Is all I'm saying.
I don't know.
Get a board.
Have you heard of Eddie Aikau?
No.
He's like the
Hakulea.
No.
He's like one of the most famous surfers. He like started the like big wave surfers out in like I think it's like the 70s in Hawaii, and he back in the day they used to travel by stars. So like from Polynesia to Hawaii, they would look at the stars and see. That's how they'd navigate. And so they're paying tribute to their ancestors, and they'd get the best of the best sailors out there on this situation. So he's like a local legend. He's like, I'm gonna try out for the team. He makes a team, and it's this big deal. Like, you know, helicopters, everyone filming this voyage about to take off. And like a day in, they hit a storm, and the boat capsizes. You know, and this is in the 80s. So you're not like tracking these people the whole time, and they're bobbing around, and he has his surfboard with him, and he's like, hey, I'm gonna go back and get help. And so he goes back and gets help, and then like 4 or 5 hours later, a rescue crew shows up and saves everyone on board. But Eddie, the surfer, had gone back for help on his surfboard, and they never found him again.
Oh, so he didn't get help.
He didn't get help. They got rescued.
He went to get help. They got rescued.
That's
separately.
not why they got rescued.
But he's like this legend. Like literally, there's statues of him. There's big like surfing events called, you know.
But they end up having no idea, like whether it was a shark ate him.
They have
or a
no
whale
idea.
Or...
They never found his surfboard. They never found anything.
Crazy.
But I don't know how we got on that. Hawaii.
Yeah. So just be careful.
So yeah, you can die out there if you get floated off, Paul.
For sure, I could die out there.
Well, we're just going back to the dreams.
I was just saying the lifeguard didn't need to freak out. Didn't sound like it was too tragic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go. I mean, that's kind of on a subject I wanted to ask. Is there a profession out there that you really admire, but there's not a chance that you could physically or mentally do it? I mean, I was thinking that lifeguard situation. I'm not a
Yeah,
great.
for
I don't think I'd
sure.
be a great lifeguard.
I wouldn't be a great Spartan.
I don't know if I really think that's a profession or not, though. But
What?
Navy SEAL, yeah,
lifeguard?
lifeguard.
Do you know how much they
that's
get
a
paid?
job. I don't know if it's a profession.
Oh my! How is it not a profession?
Are we talking
They're
about like
profes-
Baywatch right now? Or what?
They're professional. They're professional lifeguards.
I don't know. My vote is Navy SEAL. Deeply respect it. Definitely couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The water would destroy you.
But like, what about a common
Common job.
mechanic, I would love to be know how to work with cars.
Engineer, I couldn't do it, but I respect it. Just my ADD,
Now that we're
I
talking
couldn't
about it,
sit
it's
and do
almost
math.
every single real job out there.
Yeah.
I respect, but I can't do.
Comedian. I love the comedian, but I couldn't stand up there.
Oh
and
my
be
gosh.
Funny.
I feel like I'm like on the verge. Just
Yeah.
someone just
He would
pushed me
get
a little.
destroyed on that stage, dude.
Yeah, I would.
I watched. You watch Kill Tony? Everyone thinks they're comedians. They get 1 minute. He pulls them out of a hat, and they have 1 minute. It's like a great podcast. It's a podcast. They video it. They put it on YouTube every week, and they do it at Joe Rogan's club. But
Okay.
anyways, you put your name in a hat, and then if they draw out, you get 1 minute, and they have all these professionals on the stand. And if you're good, you could really make a career. Like he's made careers off of this 1 minute. But 99% of the people are just complete idiots who think they had like one funny joke,
Yeah.
and it just does not work.
Well, dude, weirdly, have you ever watched Joe Rogan's routines?
I don't like Joe Rogan.
Yeah, they're not good.
His stand up, yeah.
Yeah, stand up is not good.
He's a great podcaster,
Great.
and conversationalist,
Yeah.
and he's
Yeah, I think he has an audience. Like, there's an audience that likes his stand up.
but he's a different person in stand up. Like he comes off trying really hard.
Yeah.
He's clever. I don't want to because like he's a friend of the pod, so I don't want to really destroy
we
him.
don't want to anger him.
well,
but-
he's not, dude. He's Joe Rogan. He can handle. He's worth hundreds of millions. He can handle a little criticism.
Yeah, but
Dude,
I think
Trump-
he's worth hundreds
Plus,
of millions.
he's like a black belt in something, so he's learned
Did you
like
hear,
mental control.
Trump went after him because he kind of endorsed RFK, and so
Yeah.
Trump's like,
I've been
"Hey, I
waiting for
can't-"
this for the debate.
Trump's like, I can't
debate
wait.
moment
He's
on
like, I
here.
can't wait till the next UFC event where Rogan gets booed. And in my head, I'm like, I get that Trump has some sway, but Rogan will never get booed in a
Whoever's
UFC
running
event.
Trump's campaign right now is is the biggest head scratching.
It is.
Because they're not
Yeah,
going
it
after the most obvious,
It is.
craziest, hypocritical, weirdest
There's something
Democrat
going on,
thing
huh?
that ever happened. Instead,
Yeah.
it's like they're fighting the Joe Rogans. They're fighting Kyle Rittenhouse over like the Second Amendment.
It's
They're
petty.
fighting moderates, right? Or I mean, maybe not moderates, but people who they're fighting libertarians. They're fighting everybody except for the people you want to fight, which is like the big state, the deep state, it's almost like he's. Yeah, it's been sad. It's been actually really. It's like makes me want to be off social media right now when really it's like a super entertaining time because of the election. And instead I'm like looking at Trump, like it is so refreshing to watch whoever's running your campaign because you've lost so much momentum by picking these weird freaking fights.
Weird
And your
fights.
followers too are showing these weird true colors, like these followers that were kind of like relatable. You're now like, no, it looks like you're literally just a cultist. Like you're just worshiping the man. You sit on you stand for nothing. There's no issues where you draw a line in the sand with your leader. Your leader can tell you that like the sky is red and you will fight for that, right? Rather than
Yeah.
like stand for anything.
As opposed to the other side where they like really push back.
Well, this
against
is
their
the
leader.
problem. This is like the problem is that's the only argument that Trump is saying, right? Is like, well, yeah, but look at them. For sure, we all agree that the other side is crazy corrupt, right? We all agree that the other side is crazy awful.
I pray that we all agree both sides are crazy corrupt.
Thank you. That's exactly it, right? But let's not like take away from what like people's mistakes. Let's not take away from the fact that we worship politicians like a freaking golden calf.
Who does?
People do.
Who?
People attending these rallies, people worship Trump.
Half of them are
Like a
paid
golden-
on both sides to
Sure.
attend said rallies.
People
So
work-
I don't think that's a worshiping like a golden calf. If you pay me 10 grand, I'll show up too.
Well, look at the Kamala Harris thing right now, right? Where it's like, hey, what issues does she stand for? When lately she's come out on, hey, she's copying Trump, who copied Ron Paul, and saying, why the freak are we taxing tips, right? But literally, a couple of years ago, when they did this stupid Inflation Reduction Act, Kamala was the deciding vote for increasing a tax on tips. She literally bragged about how excited she was to cast that deciding vote as the vice president when the Senate gridlocks at a 50-50. The vice president has the deciding vote. So she bragged about being able to vote 2 tax tips, and now she's like, "Hey, we're going to take
Why are
away
we doing this
Yeah, right?
because you voted for it."
because they want to win Arizona, right? Which is a heavily like service area where tips are like a big
Now,
part of income.
so that's the crazy side of the left. Now tell me a funny story about the right of a similar way that how stupid they are.
Oh man,
You got any of those?
So for me, it has to do with the Second Amendment, right? With this Kyle Rittenhouse, who's like a big advocate for against gun control and against this, and he criticized like he wouldn't endorse Trump because Trump is not a huge defender of the Second Amendment. He's more than the left, right? Which that's always their argument, right? But he passed certain things which the Supreme Court actually had to overrule as infringements on the Second Amendment, right? And so Rittenhouse comes out and says, "Hey, Trump like hasn't done a great job with this," and he gets shredded.
Well, because he said, "I'm going to vote for Ron Paul. I'm going to write in Ron Paul for my vote for president." Which, two things. One, a couple of years ago, this was just an 18-year-old kid, and still is. So he's 20 years old or whatever now. So who the hell cares what he has to say? Like, who the hell cares? It's not like this guy is a deep thinker and a big movement, and he's created this big company, and so you know that he's got something behind him and something in his freaking sack. He doesn't. Dude, who the hell cares what Kyle Rittenhouse says? Like, who the hell cares?
Man, RFK, on the thing that matters most to me in this election, RFK hits on and Trump never hits on, which is our executive branch, these agencies are way too big. We need to hone them in. And Trump never hits on them. He doesn't, right? And RFK does. So that's, to me, is like, hey, this is an important thing. It feels like more of an issue than anything else I see out there. It's something we haven't seen as an issue, right? Like border security, like that's been an issue that's gone back and forth. Like all of these issues are just dances we've made over the last 50 years. Yeah. But the size of this government isn't. So when I tell people, I want to vote for RFK, it's like, well, you're wasting your vote, or this is a terrible idea. This is stupid.
Well, you are. Well, you are.
I get that. I get that. But if this is a guy who I relate with most on the issues, it's like, cool. Like RFK had actually an awesome response to, like when somebody like was saying, "Hey, I'm still voting for Trump," where it's like, "Hey, like this is like, hopefully I can change your mind, but this is how the election is, right? Like you vote for who you feel like is your best candidate." And instead a lot of times the argument is, no, you're voting against. You have to vote against to stop this guy from becoming the worst candidate.
You do. That's the way the game's set up. You do, right? Because if you like RFK better than Trump, but you fear Kamala being in charge more than you feel Trump being in charge, you have to vote for Trump, right? Because RFK winning, it's 0% chance.
What's your take on this?
I think to get RFK, I think what he needs to push is the agenda on raw dogging. I think he needs to come out and really push like where his stance is on raw dogging. You guys know what that is?
No, what's raw dogging?
It's this new thing, right?
Hey.
If you get on a plane, you just look at the screen, or if there's no screen, you're looking forward. You don't get music, you don't get entertainment, and people are doing this. Like it's a huge trend, and so I think if RFK really like maybe goes on a flight and just raw dogs for like.
So you have to just look straight forward for the entire
It's a challenge.
flight.
It's like a new challenge, and kids are into it.
Yeah.
And I think RFK, to get him to that level,
Get that younger voter on his side.
I don't understand the raw dogging. So, I mean, I could never do it. It sounds terrible. I want to bring up a little news. Did you hear about those astronauts that went up for like, they're only supposed to go up for like 5 days, but there's some issue with NASA that's going on, like with their
NASA, with
Boeing. I heard some weird thing about it, and I did hear Boeing.
Yeah, so look, I don't really understand it a ton, but it sounds like they might not come back till 2025. Have you heard that?
Yeah, so they were supposed to go up for a week. This is a Boeing, like just observing mission from a Boeing created spacecraft, and there was a malfunction on the spacecraft. They were able to either evacuate them or be supplied from the International Space Station. So they were able to either move them from the space station. I believe that they were able to like safely dock on the space station. Yeah. So the space station is keeping these people alive. Otherwise, they would have ran out of oxygen and everything
and food and
And so, but the funny thing is, right, to me is like they even talked about sending up a SpaceX mission to save these people, and SpaceX and Boeing are like, like rivals in this industry, even though SpaceX is dominating Boeing in it. But it's just like another Boeing thing where you're like, scratch your head, like, what the freak is this company doing?
We thought Tom Hanks had it bad in Apollo 13, where he had to go all the way around the moon and get slingshot back.
Yeah,
Can you
that would've
imagine
been
him having
tedious.
to chill out there for an extra year?
Yeah. Yeah, no, that would be, it'd be like it'd be really boring. I always think about this because you remember in Interstellar when they go to this planet where it's moving really, really fast. And so he's hovering in space. And so like an hour for them ends up being like 18 years for this dude in space. And he's just like sitting there like, what would you do in those 18 years by yourself? Like, assuming you could have like all the technology, I just think like I would get really into I'd beat every video game.
Yeah.
Like, I would go through them all.
It would suck. I've saw that. What was that movie with Chris Pratt where he like they're going to Mars? He wakes her up and like it costs like years. They have to sit around for years.
Well, they're dead by the time they actually hit.
Yeah.
Like this. I don't think it was Mars. It was like
So if say you're one of these astronauts that goes up for the 5 days, you're like, hey honey, I'll be back in a couple days. I mean, how long do you think when Kelsey she gets the news that you might be up there for a year? How long does it take for her to
and move on?
Like 2 weeks?
A week.
I give it 2 weeks before Kelsey has that ring off.
Yeah.
And she's out. She's on all.
Yeah,
the,
she's like, well, he's not coming back for a year.
the dating sites. No, it's just like even with the option, even if he gets back.
I think it would probably be best for her because I'm gonna be up there and I'm in like if I don't come back, obviously she's safe, but even if I come back, I'm gonna be changed. My body.
Is that because the Spartan at the space station is gonna be pointing at you like you're my guy?
Well, I'm sure there's an alien version of that too, right? That might not be as pleasant as one of those chiseled abs.
Yeah, she gone. When she finds out, and what does she tell people? Like, I'm not divorced. I'm single. My husband's not dead.
Are you widowed? Sort of. For about a year I am.
So he's in space.
What do you mean sort of? My husband's trapped in space, so it's like
he's unavailable, but I'm available. Yeah.
For a year.
Yeah.
After that, I'll have to choose who I like more, you or him.
All right, let's end this.